Hi there, hello, welcome to the Hopcast Half Pint October 2018 edition, and I'm James, and we have a slight change this month. As you may have gathered if you listen to the main Hopcast, Adam, unfortunately, is no longer with us. The sack of spuds wasn't quite up to doing an entire episode with me, so we've gone next best thing to a sack of spuds, and we've got Laura. Hello.
Oh, thanks. What a lovely introduction. Hello, everyone.
So it's your first Hopcast Half Pint.
Yeah.
For anyone that's listening that doesn't know how this work, I don't quite know where that went, how this works, then we basically, in the space of about 25-30 minutes, we rattle through 2 or 3 beers. This month we've got 2 beers because they're both quite big cans. And we're going for drinks afterwards, and we'd quite like to both get up tomorrow morning, so we're playing it steady. So a couple of beers and quite a few talking points for us to get through. So let's get on with beer number 1, which is one that I brought with me, and this is a collaboration between Magic Rock and Humblesea Brewing Company and the Wave Project, or I think it raises money for the Wave Project. It's called the Wave Project, strangely enough, and it's a double dry hop session IPA, which comes in at, I've not looked it up, 5.2%. Oh. So we've got Golden Promise, malted wheat and malted oats in it. The hops that we've got are T90 Chinook, Lemon Drop, and Mandarina Bavaria, and the cryo hops Citra and Chinook, and the yeast is London Fog.
Ooh.
That all meant a lot more to you than it does to me. Oh, I hope it does.
Who are the collaborate? Humblesea.
Yeah.
I've not heard of Humblesea.
No, I'm guessing wherever the Wave Project is based, I'm guessing it's kind of a local brewery to them.
Wave Sea. There's a link there, isn't there?
Wave. Yeah, something to do with ocean. Humblesea.
Is this my glass, by the way?
This is your temporary glass.
Before I drink anything out of this, I just want to give a little overview of the glass that I've been given this evening. It's a frosted tankard. Yeah?
Yes.
Is it a pint?
I think it might be, actually.
And
it's also an offensive weapon, though. Like, if you hit someone with that.
Don't put me too much in, I'll struggle to lift it. Is this a particular thing?
So Marvin? This is Marvin, and the picture of Marvin, the caption is "One at a time, please, ladies." Now, I guess that this stems from maybe Marvin's birthday, maybe Marvin's stag do or something. I don't actually know Marvin. I just found this in the cupboard at work.
Great.
So I think Marvin sounds like an entirely responsible human being. He looks particularly happy on the picture. We will take a photograph of that in a minute and pop it on the post.
Yeah, cheers to Marvin, wherever you are.
I hope you had a good birthday.
I mean, I could smell that as soon as you poured it.
It definitely...
It smells great.
Oh.
Really, really fruity.
It is not shy on its hoppiness, is it?
I think flavour doesn't quite live up to the aroma for me. It's still delicious.
I found it really sharp on that first mouthful.
I'm not sure if it's just me, but I've come to this certain expectation with beers that have cryo hops in them, where I always get a little taste of, you blow up a balloon.
Yeah.
And there's that sort of, it's not quite rubbery, but that little hint of artificial, slight plasticky flavour. Actually, I don't think it comes across in this very much, but I don't know if it's just because I'm thinking about it, because you said it had cryo hops in, but I am getting a little bit of a sort of resistance in the flavour.
You're not a fan generally of cryo hops, are you?
No. But then I don't know if that's what it is or if it's something else. But
I think it's entirely drinkable.
Yeah, it's drink.
I've not bought any Magic Rock stuff for a while, so I was quite keen to. They've brought a couple out in the last few weeks. So I was quite keen to get hold of it. In fact, I'm lying because I did have it's called the Fridge Life, something like that, which I had at Indie Man, which I know they've just brought out. I think they've just launched it in cans this week, actually, which was very nice. Although I don't remember a lot, but it was enjoyable.
And I think overall I'd definitely drink that.
It's not
really
shy.
refreshing.
Yeah.
I think as well, session IPA 5.2%. I mean, that's kind of more the American interpretation of a session IPA, isn't it? But
absolutely,
fair play.
Yeah, I mean, I think you've got to be talking under 5.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean that. Jaipur's not been far off being a session IPA if we're going on that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, that's not right. Let's talk about some news then. And big thing. I mean, we were together at the Sheffield Beer Festival. We'll talk about that in a little while. But conversation that came around a few times was about particularly the announcement from Cloudwater about them going back to brewing some cask beer.
Yeah.
Is this the comeback of the cask? Not that it ever really went away, but like the craft cask.
Yeah, I think this is a really interesting thing because when Cloudwater stopped doing cask, I think that was a big debate then, wasn't it, about loads of breweries were either deliberately saying they were going to slow down their cask production or only do it for specific venues, like I know Buxton only do it for the tap now, I think. Right. I think Magic Rock might have around the same time. They didn't necessarily say they weren't doing cask or anything like that. They just kind of quietly increased everything else and didn't release their cask particularly widely. And obviously now Cloudwater and Brewdog last week as well, both saying that they're going back to doing it. So I think it's, for Sheffield, I think it's kind of, we like to think of ourselves as a really proud cask ale city, and our breweries have remained very dedicated to that form of production, and I really do think, this is kind of just one little pointer that means we were all right. So go Sheffield is my conclusion from that.
The only thing that surprised me about the whole thing, well, it's probably just that actually, just the fact that I was surprised. I just didn't really see it coming. The market, and I can't say that I see an overview of the market because I don't. I'm into a certain kind of beer, and that tends to be more on the keg/craft side. But it just felt like it was only really going in one direction and going more down kind of the American route. I think when I was in New York, there was one bar that I went in that had any cask on, and it was kind of there. It was a bit like a novelty, really.
Yeah.
No one actually bought any of it while I was in there. So it's quite a surprise, really, to kind of see all of a sudden this sudden kind of, I'd say, lurch back towards cask. But then, interesting, you mentioned Magic Rock. They had a couple of beers on cask at the beer festival at the weekend, and yeah, it's not really a lurch back, is it? But readdressing that balance somewhat.
Yeah.
And that can't be a bad thing.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good thing, and it could be for Cloudwater in particular. If they're feeling more comfortable in their capabilities with cask, I know, and in dealing with their customers that are taking it, because one of the main reasons they weren't wanting to do it was they're kind of losing control of it a bit once it's left the brewery. So if they've kind of come up with new ways of addressing that and working with their customers to make sure that the people buying the beer from the other side of the bar are drinking it in the way that Cloudwater wanted them to be, then fantastic. I'm really excited to see what they release.
Yeah, it will be good. I think what we can be fairly certain of with Cloudwater is that they're not going to make a bag job of it either. They're certainly going to want it to be the best that it can be, certainly the first few releases. And there's been occasions this year where they've just had a little bit of bad press, Cloudwater, for some minor, not necessarily quality issues, but certainly maybe quantity issues, just about the sheer number of beers that have been coming out, and being kind of all of a similar sort of ilk. Yeah. So this will be interesting to see what they come up with, and
I think as well, more generally, they seem to be trying harder to appeal to, I'm going to call them the grassroots drinker.
Yeah.
The people who go to the pub 4 nights a week and drink 4 or 5 pints of the same beer that Cloudwater have never really bothered with before. They haven't needed to. But I know a few weeks ago they said how they were taking off quite a lot of the technical information that was on the cans and making the information on there more accessible. So I wonder if cask is another part of that, of trying to, have a bit more of a broader appeal and not be quite so beer industry heavy.
Can you see your traditional drinker who goes down to the local, drinks the same thing 4 nights a week, can you see them moving to Cloudwater?
Depends what they do, doesn't it? If they're going to come out with a 3.5% best bitter or a 4% blonde.
We'll see. I
can't really see that Cloudwater will be going that far in what they're doing, really, but we'll see. I'm looking forward to seeing how they play it and which way they go with it and what kind of response they get.
Yeah, agreed. Right, let's talk about some Sheffield news. Let's talk about new bars. I'm way behind because I don't know anything about anything that's opening in Sheffield, but you know about a couple of new bars that are in progress or coming soon.
Well, I've just seen a couple that have popped up fairly recently. One I'm really excited about, one less so. I'll start with the one I'm less excited about and tell you why. We got a tweet, followed on Twitter last week by a bar called Bonobo, which followed a load of Sheffield beery people. No information whatsoever on their Twitter account, apart from, I think they've described themselves as Sheffield's largest city centre craft ale and gin bar. Which, firstly, made me think that's a very bold claim when you're not even open. But secondly, they're being quite shady about where they're going to be, when they're going to be open. There's basically no information at all at the moment, which sort of rings alarm bells for me. I hope I'm wrong, but...
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? It's, I guess when you're doing any sort of project like this, you've got choices when it comes to how you market it. Do you very quietly open and then make a big fanfare after that? Or do you go all out kind of tease campaign before opening? And obviously they're kind of going for that kind of teaser campaign and trying to get people kind of talking about it, which is working because we're talking about it on the podcast. Two things from me. Firstly, the Twitter bio really upsets me because they haven't put an apostrophe in Sheffield's largest city centre craft ale and gin bar, which as a grammar Nazi, that really does my head in. But it immediately kind of leads me towards thinking, right, well, where? Because it's got to be a building that's of a decent size. And in my head, you kind of think something like this is likely to be something that's been a pub before, or maybe it's one of those buildings that changes every few years, and then it'll be something for a little bit longer and it doesn't work, and then something else for a bit longer it doesn't work. But I don't think there's anywhere particularly that jumps out as being obvious.
A few places on West Street that have either recently closed or have been closed for a while, or have changed hands loads in the past couple of years, so maybe up there. But
I can't. I know nothing more than anyone else, but I cannot for a second think that a craft beer bar on West Street is going to work.
Yeah.
I really just can't see. Even just off West Street, you've got a better chance. You've got Red Deer, obviously, which is really close to West Street, but just off the beaten track enough that if you're a group of lads on a night out and you're just literally going from pub to pub, you wouldn't know that it's there. You'd miss it out. And I that just worries me a little bit if it ends up being somewhere like that. I mean, there's a lot of really good pubs, really central in Sheffield, but I just don't know if West Street would be the right place. But it's going to be interesting to see. There's another one as well.
Yeah, which I know much more information about, which is equating to me being much more excited for it, and that's Pour. Which is going to be down on Chesterfield Road near the White Lion in what used to be the La Luna Italian restaurant.
Cool.
It's spelt pour as in pour yourself a beer, but the logo is a paw print because it's going to be dog friendly, which for me as a dog wanting non-dog owner is very exciting because it's going to be one of my new locals. There's getting to be a really nice little beer trail down there, I think, as well. So I think this will fit in really, really nicely. They're going to specialise in doing some veggie food, I think they're doing like New York style pizzas.
Oh, cool.
And mainly keg beer, I think. And it's John, who runs the White Lion. I believe he's keeping the White Lion as well, but he's joining in next door. And Ed, previously of Hopcast Brewery.
Excellent.
Who is one of my favourite people on the Sheffield beer scene. So I'm really looking forward to seeing some more of him as well. So
that's really good then.
That's really great.
Yeah, certainly one new bar that's very close, and then another that we're not really sure about. But it's good to have a few developments and things happening. That's really exciting.
Yeah.
Any more thoughts then on the Magic Rock The Wave project?
I've actually really enjoyed drinking that. Really refreshing. Good first beer after work.
I don't know whether I necessarily want more than a can of it. I think I say that about every beer that I drink these days.
For me, that's one of the more drinkable, kind of hoppy ones that I've had recently from Magic Rock. I've found it a lot easier to drink, a lot more refreshing. And nice that it's a kind of drink good, do good beer as well.
Yeah, and it's a nice can. I mean, they always are.
Yeah, no, it's lovely.
But it's a very good can.
But yeah, I'm going to look up the Wave project after we finish recording.
This brings us to beer 2, which is the one that you've brought with you. I'm going to hand over to you now.
Yes. I've gone, on the normal Hopcast, I do try hard not to put my Abbeydale hat on too firmly and remain nice and unbiased and everything. Want you all to believe what I'm saying and not think I'm getting paid for it, because that's not the case at all. But in this instance, I have kind of copped out a little bit, and I have brought a brand new Abbeydale beer with me today. Partly because I haven't tried it yet, and I'm really excited about it, and I thought you might be too.
You've not tried it at all?
Not from can, no.
Oh, right, okay. I thought you meant like at all.
No, not in the trade. I didn't manage to get to try it at Sheffield Beer Festival actually either.
No.
When it was on cask. So here goes.
So this is Citizen.
Yes.
So it's kind of the development of Huckster.
Yeah.
Or Funkster, as I've now started calling it.
So the story behind this as a kind of series is obviously Huckster, which we did with Pedlar Market, our first New England IPA, worked really well. We wanted to do something similar to that, keep working on our New England style. We were happy with the ABV that it was sitting at. We really liked the connection with another kind of Sheffield, I don't know, what would you... Sheffield icon really, but that Pedlar is, and the artwork as well, which is by Jim Spendlove. We really liked. So we thought, who else could we work with who, they're not a brewery, not a bar, nothing to do with, just specifically beer really, but somebody who's shouting about Sheffield and doing a really good job of putting Sheffield on the map. And we were actually approached by Now Then magazine, who we work with really well at Abbeydale. We're really good friends with them, and they are celebrating their 10th birthday in print, and I think each month this year they're wanting to kind of do something special to mark the occasion. So this month it's Make a Beer. So yeah, this is Happy Birthday to Now Then magazine beer. The artwork, the little hop man on it has got Now Then's
it's got a
birthday
little
magazine in his pocket.
Magazine in his
which
dungarees.
Is really cute. And yeah, the other thing I really like about this is we wanted to make a milkshake IPA, and we wanted to make it vegan, so we didn't want to put lactose in it. So we've made what I think is the first beer that is named an oat shake IPA.
I love that phrasing.
Because we've replaced the lactose with oat milk.
Oat milk.
Which was a really fun day at the brewery, because we had 100 litres of it went into this brew, and it came in individual 1 litre cartons with the really, really stiff lid to open. So
wow. That's a full day job right there, isn't it?
So Scott, who brewed this beer, had that job. So well done, Scott.
So I'm going to talk a bit about Sheffield Beer Festival. It's related to Citizen because I've probably drunk more of it now than you have already. So it was the first beer that I had when I got to Sheffield Beer Festival on Wednesday night. It was the last beer that I had on Saturday night when I left Sheffield Beer Festival. I did go to like work and stuff in between. I didn't literally get there on Wednesday and just stay there till Saturday. But I went 3 times altogether, and time and again, I think I went to 3 different sessions, and I think both of them I went back to get Citizen at least one more time in each session because it was just that good. And it just blew me away. What then happened on Friday, having Sheffield Beer Festival kind of pretty much ran out of beer by kind of late afternoon. So me and my mate said, tell you what, we went across to Barcia's, we had one there, we had one in Shakespeare, and then we said, let's go in town because we've not had enough beer yet already, so why not? So we went to Brewdog, had a beer in there, and then we went across to the Devonshire Cat. And I kind of, half drunkenly staggered in, and there's always a lot of choice in the Devonshire Cat. So I just kind of said, right, I like beer that's a bit like this and a bit like this and a bit like this. And he went, we've got the absolute perfect beer for you, so pour me this pint. And of course it was Citizen. So I had it on, I've had it on cask and on keg already, even though I think it only came out last Wednesday.
Yeah, the cask came out at the start of the week, but it actually only went into the cans on Saturday.
Wow.
So yeah, it's 2 days old, this can.
So this beer's kind of taken over my life for half a week, which is incredible, really. But I'm not saying this for any other reason other than the fact that it is just the absolute truth. But it was by far and away my favourite beer at Sheffield Beer Festival. It was just superb, and I didn't expect to be saying that about a cask beer.
I'm really pleased it worked on cask, actually.
It worked brilliantly on cask.
Your Oatshake New England IPA doesn't scream cask, does it?
No, it doesn't. No.
I did particularly enjoy when I was at Sheffield Beer Festival on Wednesday night that it was on a camera branded hand pull, and then what was coming out was this like almost soupy, ridiculously hoppy.
Yeah.
Probably one of the more expensive beers on cask there.
Well,
it just made me chuckle. But I did notice from later in the week they'd managed to acquire a unfined, naturally hazy pump clip.
Ah, right. Okay. Oh, that's interesting. They probably stole it from Wetherspoons. It was exactly the same price as every other cask beer.
Good.
It wasn't any more expensive. It was $1.20 a third, $1.80 a half, £3 a pint, or maybe £3 something a pint. Can't remember. No, it must have been more than £3 a pint. But anyway, it was very fairly priced compared to everything else.
Oh, good.
And yeah, I mean, I worked through pretty much everything on the keg bar, and kept coming back to that brilliant beer. Absolutely brilliant.
Just to point out as well for anybody that does get their hands on a can of this, Now Then are running a little competition. So if you scan the QR code on the can, you might win extra beers.
Well, that's quite good.
And yeah, that's linked to their new app, which is a really great. It's very newly released. They've had an app for ages, but they've just updated it and made it quite a bit more interactive. So there's like discounts from bars, restaurants, shops. I think there's going to be one for our online shop and things on there. So
That's good.
yeah, I mean, I'm the first one to go, I don't like New England IPAs, but I just quite like this one. It's just really soft. I think I like the creaminess of it.
Yeah. That was the first thing that kind of stuck in my mind when I first tasted it on Wednesday night, was that it actually does carry all the same characteristics as Huckster, but it's just that bit gentler. It has a real softness to it, and the mouthfeel has a real softness to it, but without it being milky. Which I'm not a fan of. I'm not a fan of lactosey beers.
Well, there's no lactose in it.
But it doesn't taste particularly oaty either. I don't know if that's a word actually. It does just taste like a really kind of just a gentle, very gentle version of a New England beer, which can often be a little bit harsh, can't they? That overly hoppiness, it really balances the hops out.
I think it's added quite a nice sort of rounded creaminess without any of the sickliness that lactose can give sometimes, I think. So, yeah.
I think it's absolutely brilliant. I really can't emphasise enough just how much I loved it at the weekend, how much I love it now. Canned really well. It's going to cost me a fortune to stock up and fill my entire fridge, because if it's anything like Huckster, it'll be here and gone. So you've done Huckster now with Pedlar Market, Citizen with Now Then. So doing these kind of New England style beers with kind of Sheffield institutions that maybe aren't like really involved in the beer industry as such, so not other breweries, but a little bit different. So maybe the next time you're looking to do one of these, I don't know, maybe a local beer related Hopcast maybe might be one to consider. Just an idea. A little bit of fennel in there, we'll be well sorted.
Oh, a fennel milkshake.
Oh, that sounds awful. That just sounds terrible. Let's not do that. We've got a little bit more beer news from Abbeydale as well, which is everyone will be thinking, oh, too much Abbeydale. This is actually quite interesting.
Yeah, I just thought while I was here tooting on the Abbeydale trumpet nice and firmly, I might as well chuck in a bit more news. So just wanted to mention that you may have heard over the next month or so, we are going to be starting brewing our very own lager. Which is really exciting for us. We've got the tanks already. They are in place. They're not yet in commission. We're just waiting for some new chillers to come. But we're thinking how it's going to work is we obviously want to make sure that we're getting it absolutely spot on. So it won't be available particularly widely straight away. Sort of trial batches, however many we need, hopefully not too many, are going to be going mainly to the Rising Sun and the Devonshire Cat initially, potentially to other customers who are keen to work with us in developing it, and then once we're happy, it'll be having a slight name change to reflect the fact the name is set, and will then just be our lager. Hopefully, the final version will be sometime in the early new year, but so it depends how long it takes us to get it right. We've got a really good idea of what we're wanting to go for. We're wanting it to be really clean, not too much of a, quite a lot of lagers at the minute. I've got quite a lot of that sweet, corny, DMS-y characteristic. We don't want much of that. We want to keep it quite a lot crisper. It's not really, I said, are we making a Hells? Are we making a pill? And it was kind of like, no, really, we're not really. We just want it to be just really, really clean, sessionable, sort of with mass appeal and not too overcomplicated. But yeah, much like we did with Heathen, which was called Pale Ale number 1 and went up to number 6 before we settled on Heathen.
That's interesting.
We'll be doing something along those lines. So yeah.
Watch this space.
Yeah.
And is that going to be something that's going to be like pub only, or is it likely to make its way into cans at some point?
I think I don't think we're planning on canning the trial batches. At this moment in time, but as soon as it's nailed down, it will definitely be going into can.
Excellent stuff. So that kind of takes us right. We've kind of gone full circle here because we're kind of back to the beginning, where we talked about kind of the re-emergence of cask, the re-emergence of lager this summer has been really noticeable.
Yeah.
And kind of very enjoyable actually. I've had quite a few lagers this summer that I've really enjoyed.
I never normally do.
No, some really good ones. I know. I think Magic Rock actually did a really good IPL, which I know is just kind of clever branding, but I thought that was superb, and quite a few different kind of takes on modern lagers that were just brilliant, really good.
Yeah, we did a tap takeover at Tilt in Birmingham the other weekend, and as part of that we had to carry the keg from the train station to Tilt, it was only like a 5-minute walk, but 30 a keg gets quite heavy quite quickly. And we got to the bar, dropped it off, and we're like, oh, what do we do now? And they had Lost and Grounded Keller Pills on. And we were like, yeah, we want one of them. And that's been something I've drank a lot of this summer.
Yeah.
Along with Lucas, always a favourite.
Yep.
From Thornbridge. Yeah. And I feel like with lager as well, you don't have to try too hard to find one that you really like. You can just, get one and then just keep drinking it.
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Lager just kind of works that a bit differently.
Yeah.
To your kind of normal sort of beer situations, and what I quite like is that it's no longer frowned upon to say, oh, I do quite enjoy having a lager every now and then. I'm not going to buy a Carling, but there are a variety of pretty decent options out there now, and I think it's good to see another brewery that's kind of turning its hand to try and make something that's good. And actually, it might just increase the number of people that you can kind of drag from kind of the bad side of the equation that just go out and drink the same stuff all the time. If they try a lager from a brewery and really enjoy it, and it's just got a little bit of a different flavour profile going on, it might just tempt them to start trying some other stuff, which has got to be
Gateway lagers.
Gateway lagers could be a thing.
Yeah.
Brill. Okay, so Citizen in Can, happy with it?
Yes.
Absolutely, very good. A couple of good beers there. I think we've done all right. Adam, if you're listening, you can stay in Europe. You're no longer required.
I mean, I know you said I was better than the sack of spuds, but...
Brilliant. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you for stepping in. We are back. You are back in November.
Yeah.
I'm not, because I'm otherwise engaged. But I'll be back on the Half Pint in November, building up to our Christmas special in December. Which
So excited to get ready for Christmas.
yeah, we don't really know what the Christmas special is going to be, but we've got some ideas, and it'll be fun. It'll be fun. I'm looking forward to Christmas.
Festive fun.
I get Christmas off for the first time in years. New job. I have a Christmas shutdown, so I'm like, I actually get Christmas off.
I am particularly excited for bullying Sean incessantly until he agrees to wear a Christmas jumper. So if you'd all like to help me in this campaign, I very much appreciate that.
Hashtag Xmas jumper for Sean.
Yeah.
Make it happen. Let's make it a thing. Brill, Laura, thank you very much.
Cheers.
Go on then, let's go to the pub.
Yeah. Good idea.